So, yesterday, 9th of June, I flew up from Edinburgh Airport, which you can see there on the map, and I flew north, and we went across Scotland, then we went across the North Sea, and then we landed at the southern tip of mainland Shetland. So this is what we're looking at here, Shetland, just to show you the bearings. If you go east, you're in Bergen, and if you head slightly north west, you're in the Faroes. But so it came and landed at Sunborough Airport, which is there, and then drove north along the A970, which you can see here. So I headed this way north, still following the road along A970 all this way. Lovely scenery. Keep going, keep going, keep going, all the way north. And then, so it's just kind of a, then instead of turning right here when heading into Lerwick, which is there, turned left and then right again to back join A970 there. And then where it says Tingwall, there's a little airstrip just there. So we just headed up that road, and then what happens is you can see the airstrip Tingwall Airport there, but you just head straight up north again and continuing through the peat areas here, continuing on, and then you can see these strange features like wiggly roads and stuff, and that's actually the wind farm, all the hard standings and the turbines and things. You can see the sort of strange features here. So there's a big wind farm there, 103 turbines, Viking wind farm. So straight north past that, then bear left, following the road here to Bray. So this little village of Bray is where I am, and the Bray Hotel is where I'm staying. So that's where we are. Came along the road from Bray, which is signposted as Sullom Voe. I just thought I'd show you this. Was this like airfield here, which I think has been abandoned. I know that when they were building the gas terminal, which is that thing on that side, they used to start trying to fly in here, but they abandoned it and just made sure all flights came in to Sunborough because it got cancelled so often with the wind here. It was pointless. So you've got got this abandoned airfield, and then what you've got is you've got the gas terminal and the oil terminal. So the oil terminal was the original side, it's on one side of the water just there, and then the gas terminal was built a bit later. In fact, you can see the flame at the top of that tower. And I'd been to visit when they were constructing this to look at some of the sort of things they were doing there. They've actually put some peat into massive concrete storage areas, and the plan is to then, when they decommission the plant, to put the peat back out again, spread it out again to help with restoration. So yeah, there's that going on. So I'm just doing a little circular route around this part of mainland Shetland. Just thought I'd stop and show you this little bit. So yeah, quite a bit of, when you think all the sort of the gas is all piped in there. There's an oil terminal there as well. It's all piped in. Quite some distance. So yeah, Scatstock Airport, 1940 it was RAF base, protect the flying boat operations. Then abandoned after the war, but then reinstated 1978 for the oil activity, the North Sea oil stuff. And then it got abandoned closed down in 2020, so fairly recently. But as I say, it was because people were trying to fly and all that. It was often just impossible with the winds. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, it's history of that. It's got a bit more about it here, a bit of a viewing point better here. 1978, first oil was brought ashore. The work on the construction 1971, inaugurated by the Queen 1981. All the Brentonian pipelines processing all the oil coming in. So it's got a map showing you what the different things are that we're looking at there. As I say, that's the oil terminal, but then later on they built a gas terminal on the other side up there. But I don't think it says anything about that, it just tells you about the oil and things. It's got the flare station, processing plant. So this plaque we're looking at was to commemorate the 5 billionth barrel of oil. That was 23rd of December 1993. So 33 years later now. Built on peat, the peat just going straight to the sea here. All this is peat. All the landscapes here are peat. You can see big bits of peat there. So that was the challenge, building it on on the hill slope up there. So the peat streams and things, and the peat hydrology is different from mineral hydrology that construction organisations are used to. So they had some challenges. It's all peat in the surrounding area. There's a little sort of part of the land that's sticking out called Moss Bank here, and on that side there's a ferry terminal. So you go up a different road around that way to the ferry terminal, which then takes you over to Yell, and then from there you can go to a couple of the other islands. You have to get another ferry or another ferry. So various ferries kind of to those North Isles up there. But you can see even just here the fantastic scenes. There's a little settlement here, and then all the inlets and bays and the hills coming down into the sea. Sheep grazing on the banks. So yeah, it's quite always windy, so it's sometimes a bit annoying, I think, when you're watching it. You can hear the wind, but I'll just show you when the car a bit sheltered, the scenes there. We're looking at sort of Linger Island at the front there. Behind that is the sort of Luna Ness, which is part of the mainland, and then there's the other little islands here, Lunga Island and things like that. But then Yell is a bit round the corner. I might go and drive down there and see if we can see the Isle of Yell. Yes, we're now looking across at the Isle of Yell. I think you can see the sort of ferry terminal over there, and then it goes across. It's like an inlet in there, which you can come across to the North Mainland, across to Yell. And yeah, so this is just a sort of viewing point here, car park, and ferry's coming now, so it's 10:30, and I can see that it's on its way over to this side. And in fact, if you just want to be a foot passenger, a return trip is only £2.80. But the ferry's getting closer now. Some of the sort of fisheries operations here in these sea inlets. I think we're going to drive down there. Fantastic views down there. Everywhere you look there's unbelievable scenes, and I was just up there before. Just driven just down this little stretch of road, and then look at this, you know, the scene. You've got these, look at that little sand tombolos or whatever there, little strips down there, just connecting across to that island, so you'll be able to go down and walk across that. And there's like a couple of, well, I think 3, isn't it? It's almost like, it's like one there, another one immediately behind it, another one there, like 3 strips of sand to get across that island there. But yeah, look at that. And there's other little narrow ridges of land between bits of sea. Incredible views, isn't it? Interesting view of part of the wind farm. You can see how it's like along a line, following the ridges there, the high points. This is just a small bit of it. So from Bray Hotel, drove north on the B9076 there, so it skirts the edge of the sea there. So I followed that road along here, and then what you come to is it sort of approaches different viewing points to be able to see, first of all, this disused airstrip, and then Sullom Voe oil and gas terminal. So you've got the oil terminal there, and the gas terminal is actually under where it says Sullom Voe oil terminal. And you can see these sort of green areas with like ponds in them. There's another big rectangular one there right in the middle of the infrastructure, and those are big tanks of peat, which you'll refer to in the video. So then the journey that I took, and I just continued on right along the B9076, and then just sort of came off through this little place Firth and then down to Mossbank, and ended up on the coast just looking out to the sea from this little parking area in the centre here. So that was just looking out to see where I saw the ferry come across, so you'll see that on the screen. And then I doubled back and we just did a big loop. So I followed this road along here that you can see, the A968, just followed that along, and that came back down and took me back down to a little loop, and then back in the circle, and then back up north again to Bray. About 11:30 now, 11:30 on Wednesday morning. I've just come back to the hotel, have a little break, read a few things, did a bit of work. Lovely drive, fantastic weather and all that, beautiful. And of course the room's been cleaned and all that while I've been out. Replenished the sort of tea and coffee things and things like that. I've just made this mess now, actually. This stuff everything was all cleaned, the bathroom's been all cleaned again and all that, and towels folded and everything's all neat. So yeah, good lights which you can control from the bed, and then the room lights is it's like funny old fashioned thing, like a radio thing, I don't know what. But anyway, you can control your lights from there, and the room lights as well. Out of 1,000 channels on telly, it was unbelievable last night. You just like could spend all night pressing, going through each channel. It was an incredible amount of channels. I just put the kettle on. Just worked out how to open the window fully so I can get the air in, because it's pretty hot in the room.